Takeaway is if you just change your breathing pattern, you can make a huge difference throughout the body. So let's say that you're suffering from chronic neck pain, chronic back pain, tiredness, fatigue, lethargy, brain fog, and you feel like you've tried just about everything and it's not helping. Where can you look? Well, number one is always lymphatics. So make sure you do our Big Six Lymphatic Mojo Reset. Just look at the description down below. Check out that video. That always comes first. But then look at the diaphragm muscle. Look at how you're breathing. If your breathing is off, you can feel that everywhere. The biggest type of breathing issue that most people have is that they overbreathe, which means they take too many breaths per minute. It's almost like a hyperventilation type thing that happens when you're under a lot of stress. And the other one is that they don't breathe enough. They hold their breath when they're under tension. And most often people are breathing in through the neck muscles, the upper trap, the pecs, and the chest. So everything happens here and very little happens down below. Where you want to have most of your breathing occur from is what they call the thoracic diaphragm. That sits here. Now, this thoracic diaphragm is a muscle, which means it contracts and it relaxes. So when it contracts, it goes into what they call concentric, like making a bicep like this. And then when it relaxes and comes back like this, the bicep is now coming back. That's called eccentric. And that's what happens when you breathe. Whenever you take a breath in, when you inhale, this diaphragm muscle will contract. And then what happens here, let me get a different color so you can see it a little bit better. This contracts and it goes down like this, kind of flattens, like right here. And everything that sits up underneath it, all of your organs, gets pushed down towards the floor. And so they don't fall on the floor. You need a muscular hammock to catch it. And that's called your pelvic floor or your pelvic diaphragm. Boom, that catches it at the bottom. So when you inhale, you increase what they call inside abdominal pressure. Then when you exhale, this diaphragm muscle should now do this, where it comes back up and it relaxes, and that's called eccentric. It should redome like this. And what I'd like for you to see is how the heart sits right on top of the diaphragm. So yeah, your breathing can make a difference on heart function. And then the pressure in the abdomen now goes down, so you have a decrease in intra-abdominal pressure. And the organs that were once pushing down towards the floor, caught in the pelvic hammock, pelvic diaphragm, now come back up like this. So inhale, down, exhale, up. Inhale, down, exhale, up. That's kind of like a piston pump or a plunger pump. So what that does primarily is, one, it moves your organs like a hashtag boss, like a lot. And it's supposed to do that because that helps you with your bowel movements, and it helps with blood flow, and it helps with lymphatic flow. And it's a big lymphatic pump. One of the biggest things that moves lymph in your body is diaphragmatic breathing and moving yourself. Okay. Now imagine if you didn't use this diaphragm muscle that well and you did it more from up top. Well, then what'll happen is that you don't have as much pressure changes down below and everything gets stagnant. It just sits there. Blood flow, lymph flow, organs, poop, you name it. That's not going to work out well for you in the inflammation department. It's just going to hurt you at some point. Now, what's really cool is the diaphragm didn't always start down here. So what do I mean by that? Well, you're pretty big right now, okay? You weren't always this big. You used to be really, really, really tiny to where they couldn't even see you because you were like a zygote. And then everything that was really tiny is a lot bigger now. Everything that was jammed up together on top of each other is now spread out and is far apart. So your diaphragm will actually descend down from the neck, from here. It's a long way to go. And that makes a lot of sense anatomical wise, because sitting up top here, you have what are called phrenic nerves. That's Phrenic, phrenic. And you have a right phrenic and you have a left phrenic. So if I'm looking at the body, this is the right phrenic, that's the left phrenic, and there they sit right there. And those nerves come from the cervical spine and what they call cervical 3, cervical 4, cervical 5, C3, C4, C5 out of 7. And the kind of learning tool for that they teach you when you get into like school to learn this stuff is C3, C4, C5 keeps the diaphragm alive, which means that it's the motor nerves, the movement nerves to the diaphragm. So they tell the diaphragm what to do, contract, relax. And that comes from up here. So here's what can happen. You can have neck issues from many, many different type of reasons. One could be trauma. One could be poor posture, like you live out here all day long and your head's 10 feet over your shoulders. You're going to put some stress on the phrenic nerve, and then that's going to impact what? Your ability to breathe effectively through your diaphragm. So neck stuff causes breathing stuff. But nature works both ways, yin and yang, okay? Left to right, up and down, right to wrong, yes to no. That means you can have issues down below with the diaphragm, maybe because you're not using it well. You got tightness, you got tension, you got restriction in there. Maybe you have inflammation around your gut. Then the diaphragm muscle tightens up. That can send signals all the way up, and then you get irritation in the neck because of the phrenic nerve from the neck going down. And that's the person who says, my neck always hurts. I massage my neck. I adjust my neck. I get mobilizations on my neck. I do everything on my neck, and it still hurts. Well, it may be coming from down here. So that's why you always have to look at breathing, ask about breathing, and watch them breathe, see where they're breathing from. Most often, they're breathing from up here and not down here around this diaphragm. So the takeaway is if you just change your breathing pattern, you can make a huge difference throughout the body. I mean, it's crazy the amount of positive changes that you can have in your life from something really, really simple. Okay. I see the neck pain issue a ton with the breathing. So if you've gotten a lot of mobilizations and stuff to your neck and you're doing all these neck exercises and it's not coming around, go back to the fundamentals and the basics and looking at the diaphragm. Now, the people always ask me, well, I mean, how do you breathe through the diaphragm? What's the best breathing way to breathe? Well, listen, there's a lot of different ways to breathe. I don't really think there's like a perfect way to breathe because it depends on what you're trying to accomplish with what you're doing with the breathing. Because there's a time you want to breathe really freaking fast. And maybe you'll have to use your mouth every now and then. But for the most part, you should keep your mouth closed, tongue at the roof of the mouth, use your nose in and out, and that's it. And when you breathe, you have to follow a general rule. Okay? And I'll tell you what I teach people, and then try this for yourself for a week. Combine this with the big 6, then leave some comments on how you feel after doing this for 30 days. I mean, even try it for a week. You'll notice a difference after a couple days, probably even the first time you do it, but give your body a little time to get adjusted to it. So let me show you the way that I like to teach people, my favorite way to do the diaphragm breathing. All right, everybody. I am here with my good friend, Fred. Don't worry, Fred has a little bit of a TMJ jaw issue. Sorry about that, Fred. And he's going to help me teach this stuff today. So this is a front view of the body. This is your right side, this is your left side. And tucked up underneath here is that thoracic diaphragm. You have your right lobe and you have your left lobe, and your organs jam up tight in there like a sardine can. So this would be this anterior part of the body. right? So you have the anterior diaphragm, and then you have the sides of the lower rib cage to sit here. This is called the lateral part of your body, left side, right side. And then you have what's called your posterior thoracic diaphragm here. So it's just in the back part of the rib cage and articulates down here. So the diaphragm has an anterior part, posterior part, lateral part. And you can't forget about this back part. And you can't forget about the side parts and only focus on the front part. And many people do that because then they tell you to breathe through your belly. Listen, that's better than breathing through your neck and your shoulders. But that can be considered some dysfunctional breathing as well, because if you just concentrate on breathing and you're making your belly go out like this, then you're likely not optimizing the sides of the diaphragm. And you're definitely not hitting the posterior part of the diaphragm where this stuff gets really, really tight. And this is where many people have low back pain, tightness, and stiffness right here. Not to mention that your kidneys sit back here. So what I cue people to do is this. I'll show you on Fredo first. You take your hands. So I would tell Fred to, take his hands, if I could bend his elbows. Oh, there we go. Okay. Fred's going to take his hands and put his hands on the sides of his rib cage. So Fred is putting his hands on the side of his rib cage. And I tell Fred, oh man, my poor guy with his like TMJ, buddy, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. That was a little disturbing. Inhale through your nose, keep your tongue at the roof of your mouth, the tip, the middle, and the back, and then try to make your hands go sideways like this. So when you inhale, make the sides of the ribs go out. When you do that, the stomach automatically goes forward, and then you're breathing more into the posterior part. So you want to envision this diaphragm expanding out in a 360. So it all moves, not just the front part. Right? So when you breathe in just from your belly, this can go, but this might not tag along, and this one's definitely not tagging along. So you go through the sides, the front will take care of itself, and you really have to focus on feeling it in the back. And when you first start to do this, you're going to be like, holy cow, doc, I don't even feel my ribs move, and I definitely don't feel anything in the back of that. That takes practice, like a lot of practice. You'll usually feel it easier if you lie down or sit, because when you stand up, standing takes a lot more core support to hold you up. You have a lot more tension in the body, so it's hard to notice subtle changes in the body. So try that. But so say we took the skeleton that's on below here and you have everything stacked on it. Let's do it this way. Put your hands on the sides of the ribs, tongue at the roof of the mouth closed, teeth together. Inhale slowly through the nose and make your hands go sideways. And then notice, did one rib move more than the other? Because you may have a little bit more restriction on one side than the other. If that's the case, go back and look under my playlist of diaphragm and then take a look at the exercise that I'll pop up above here somewhere and down below that will show you how to free up the rib cage here. All right. And so you would inhale, make your ribs go. You'll notice this goes, and pay attention to that one. And then slowly exhale. You can slowly exhale through your nose. You can slowly exhale through your mouth. Just try to make your exhales longer than your inhales. When you make your exhales longer than your inhales, you increase your parasympathetic nervous system activity, which means that you relax, you recover, you heal, you chill, you begin to feel more at ease, because inhaling drives the sympathetic nervous system, which fight or flight. Exhale drives the parasympathetic, and that can chillax you. All right. So the takeaway is to change pain anywhere in the body, to decrease inflammation anywhere in the body, to calm the body down, pay attention to the breathing. Start here. Just realize how much magic stuff is happening on the inside with pressure and fluid flow when you begin to do it, and then see what kind of great changes that you have in your life. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you find my videos helpful, entertaining, and valuable. Hope you come to see us at one of our Mojo workshops where we teach you safe self-care techniques to change your life or the lives of someone that you love. We also have a membership site. We have videos that you can choose to watch, a lot of additional resources for you to learn from. Okay. Thank you so much. This is Dr. Perry from Stop Chasing Pain. I will see you really soon on the next video. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the post notification bell so you always see new videos coming out. And I'll put the sign up for our newsletter down in the description below so you can get early announcements on any new self-care workshops that we have. Take care.